Hello, everyone. Sorry, I was reading a comment. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, YouTube. Hi, Louise. Hi, Brown and Jones, Miley, Karen, Kelly, Amy, Rebecca, Melissa. I'm so excited to be here for episode 4 of The Divine Design. Settle in. This is going to be a fun one. Actually, it's not going to be necessarily fun. It's interesting. I'm really dizzy. I got a lot of energy flowing through my body. I got a lot of energy flowing through my body. Holy Moses. Hold on a second. I got to do some rose. Do you guys use rose water? It's so grounding. Oh my God, it grounds me. Okay. So this is episode 4. We're going to be talking all about reptilians and their role with our history, the history of humanity, the history of Earth, and their role right now and what we're navigating and going through. There's a lot that I'm going to try to squeeze into this class today. I do recommend going back and watching episode 1 if you're confused about what I'm talking about. Which is up on my YouTube channel. It's just your history with Earth as a soul in human form. And I also highly recommend, I linked the YouTube video down below, but I highly recommend watching the video I did way back in 2018, I believe, around 2018, around the 12D grid, the 12th dimensional grid. It's an extremely powerful, liberating, profound video about this 12th dimensional grid that is around the planet and that's holding this entire experiment and experience together. But this is the Divine Design book. The details are down below for you to get it if you are interested in getting it. It's available in hard copy, paperback, audio. Highly recommend that audio. And because we are on episode 4, we are in the midst of our history of what happened on the planet. And today's episode is the Reptilians. So take this with a grain of salt. It's one perspective. It's the perspective that I received when I was downloading this book. It came through as a download, and it came in from the Galactic Federation of Light. They basically dropped in the entire history of humanity and the Earth. And a really powerful part of that history is the reptilian beings and the energies and what they have offered humanity along the way. Hold on one second. So without further ado, let's get going. Hopefully, if I have some time, I can answer questions towards the end. So first and foremost, the reptilians were created. They were designed millions of years ago. And they were not part of the Earth's experiment millions of years ago. Again, go back and listen to episode 1 of this series, and you can understand the beginnings of Earth and humanity. But the reptilians were created by higher dimensional beings. And when Earth fell from the 5th dimensional state of being down to a 3rd dimensional state of being, which happened millions of years ago, there was a cataclysmic event that shifted and cleared off all beings, all humans on the planet, and basically cleared the planet completely. And the planet began again, and this happened instantaneously, literally overnight, on a linear perspective. But it happened just like that. And the reptilians were no longer on the Earth. 4th dimensional races were no longer on the Earth. Humans were no longer on the Earth. It was a cleaning out, a shaking, a restart. So around, 10, 15,000 linear years ago, Earth began again in a 3rd dimensional field. And the human body began again in a third dimensional field. And when she was created about 10 to 15,000 years ago, the Galactic Federation of Light put a fifth dimensional grid around her. The reason that the Earth has a fifth dimensional grid around her, when she started out again in the third dimensional realm 10 to 15,000 years ago, is because prior to that, when she was in a fifth dimensional realm, for millions of years, races like 4D races and reptilians that infiltrated the Earth way back then are still in the 12th dimensional grid, or they are still in the Earth's experiment, okay? So they're floating around just like the Earth is floating around, right? Just like higher dimensional beings are floating around, meaning they're in a quantum field. So because reptilians were created millions of years ago, because fourth dimensional races were created millions of years ago, they are part of this experiment now, experience. So if Earth were to start again in a third dimensional field, these reptilian energies and these fourth dimensional races can have access to the Earth. They can just go right back onto the Earth and do what they did millions of years ago, which is bringing the Earth down into lower frequencies. So the Galactic Federation of Light understood this and when they created Earth back in a 3D field, or in a 3D field, which they had to do, they had to kind of revamp her. They put a 5D grid around her. The reason they made it 5D is that this may be a hard concept for people to grasp because we are in a dense human polarized field. So we have this logical mind, and it can be difficult at times to understand this concept. But all energetic beings, right, understand the laws of the universe. They understand how the quantum field works. They understand universal law, and they understand physics. If an energy is vibrating at a lower frequency than a dimensional field, so if a fourth dimensional race is vibrating in a fourth dimensional field, and you create a fifth dimensional field, a fifth dimensional grid, like a gate, if a being is not vibrating at that dimensional field, it can't access that grid. It can't go through the grid. Okay, no matter what. And reptilians, I'm only going to talk about reptilians today, not fourth dimensional races that came in and did the hybridization and the abductions. Okay, so this is just the reptilians. Reptilians are fourth dimensional. They vibrate in a fourth dimensional field. They're not in a fifth dimensional or sixth dimensional field. And so fourth dimensional reptilians cannot penetrate a fifth dimensional grid. They have to raise their vibration up. And you know how hard it is to raise your vibration up in a physical form. And the reptilians are very physical, but we can't see them because they're in a different dimensional field than we are. So there was a fifth dimensional grid placed around the Earth so that these races and these reptilians couldn't access her. They couldn't get onto her. Why? Because the Earth needed to go through its evolution. It needed to move back into a 5D field. And it knew that if it was open to the quantum field, these reptilians would just come on in, come back in, and have a heyday with the human body. So the 5D grid was created. And I'm reading part of the book. Somebody messaged me the other day and said, "How come you're using notes and reading?" It's like, because I want to talk about the book. This is about the book and what the book said. So that's how the fifth dimensional grid came into existence and why it was created. All right. Now, for thousands and thousands of years, the Earth slowly started to move her frequency up from a 3.0 to a 3.1 to a 3.2, so to speak. Sam, we sent you an email, just a complete side note, but we sent you an email about something about our Patreon community. We used your Kajabi email address. So check your Kajabi email address and look for the email we sent you. Okay, back to the story. Okay, so for thousands of years, Earth and humanity were slowly shifting themselves. Get your popcorn. Slowly shifting itself into slightly higher frequencies. So if you imagine a third dimensional field is 3.0 to 3.9, fourth dimensional is 4.0 to 4.9. This is just in terms of being able to understand it with your logical mind. It's not actually registered like that. So slowly, Earth was beginning to move her frequency, her light quotient back up 3.0, 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and she was holding more and more of more percentage of her light quotient. About 5,000 years ago, she was holding around maybe 47% of her light quotient. All right. There is a universal law that was created with this experiment and experience that was created specifically for the Earth. That when the Earth was able to hold 50%, no, you, Sam. I think it's you. I don't know, maybe not. Well, we thought it was you. Maybe it's a different Sam. When Earth was holding 50% of her light quotient, nothing that occurs on the planet can pull her back down, including anything that a human does, anything that a galactic being or a reptilian or any dark energy, that nothing can pull Earth back down once she hits 50% of holding her light quotient, which she did in 1989, which I think was the harmonic convergence. So back in 1989, Earth hit that 50% light quotient. We call it the harmonic convergence if you're in the spiritual community. And that is when Earth anchored 50%. And no matter what happens on the Earth plane, we are continuing to increase our frequency no matter what. 5,000 years ago, give or take, Earth was holding around 40, wait, I don't have that email. Must be another one. Okay. 47% of her light quotient. And it was at this time that Earth sent out her first and only request. So Earth is a consciousness. She's held inside of a physical body we call a planet, but she's a consciousness, just like you're a consciousness held inside a physical form. And Earth created this whole experiment. And she has a team working with her called the Galactic Federation of Light. And they have been assisting her for eons, millions and millions of years. So around 5,000 linear years, she sent out her first and only request. It was an energetic pulse that held the intention of shifting her light quotient to 50%. Earth knew the impact holding 50% of her light would have on the evolution. So she knew she was super close, and she was like, yo, I want a little bit of assistance to propel me into that 50% and to propel humanity into that 50% light quotient. Can you help a sister out? Right? And so she was requesting, Earth was requesting that we being the Galactic Federation of Light, they open the 5D grid. Okay, because when the 5D grid is around Earth, even higher dimensional consciousnesses like higher dimensional beings, galactic beings, they can't interfere physically with the planet. So everything is done energetically. And when things are done energetically, it takes a much longer time. So she was requesting that we open the 5D grid to allow higher dimensional beings to physically enter the Earth plane to assist her in shifting her light quotient. And I just did a video a couple days ago on ancient civilizations and galactic beings. And this is when these galactic beings came onto the planet physically to assist us. So if the Galactic Federation of Light were to open the 5th dimensional grid, it would allow these non-physical beings to come down onto the earth plane and help humanity anchor more light in their physical bodies, which would assist Earth in moving into more frequency, more light, and help her anchor 50% of her light. And she knows once she does that, then it's off to the races, which is what we're in right now, which is why it doesn't matter what happens on the planet, we're continuing to evolve into higher states of frequency. So we knew that we had to honor her request. The Galactic Federation of Light, Kevin asked that question in a little bit. She knew their physical impact, the galactic being's impact would physically increase her light to 50% because the impact it would have on humans. So the Galactic Federation of Light honored her request. They had to. It's free will. So if she asks, they will do it. But what happened with that one simple request, we are still to this day in 2024 experiencing the ramifications of that one simple request. So when they opened up the fifth dimensional grid, as many of you are aware of because you read the book, it also allowed for the reptilians and the fourth dimensional races to enter onto the earth plane. And although the Galactic Federation of Light knew this, they also had to let everything play out. And not only did higher dimensional beings come into and onto the earth plane at this time, but the fourth dimensional races did as well. And including the reptilians. And the Galactic Federation of Light, this is what they said when they were giving me the book. We realized at this moment when they opened up the grid that humanity was about to experience an energetic shift down into lower frequencies. We knew we had to honor free will, but we were unsure what would take place for humanity. As soon as we recognized, and I'll tell you what started to happen, but as soon as we recognized what was occurring, as soon as the Galactic Federation of Light recognized, holy shit. Now, what they recognized played out over hundreds of years. But when the Galactic Federation of Light talks about it, it happens just like this. So they opened the grid and literally closed the grid within a now moment. But for humanity and the earth, it was hundreds of years that slowly unraveled first, because time is very different down here. And so what they said was, as soon as we recognized what was occurring, we closed the grid to reduce the influx of 4D beings entering the earth place. All of this occurred for us in a now moment. The civilizations were built, 4D beings began experimenting with human bodies, and we closed the grid. However, in human linear time, the grid closed about 500 years after we opened it. Once we closed the grid, 4D beings, including reptilians, could not continue to enter through the 5D grid and onto the earth any longer. So what this means is that once they closed the grid, all of the 4D beings, all the reptilians that were on the planet were now on the planet. They were here. And if they didn't want to leave, they weren't leaving. So it wasn't these fourth dimensional races and reptilians didn't come and go on the planet like people think. And they're not coming and going on the planet like people may think. They came once the grid was opened, the grid was shut. Now they were on the planet. And then they had a smorgasbord of fun times for 4,500, 5,000 years. And this is the beginning of the spiritual war, or the energetic war that has been playing out on this planet. It all started around 5,000 years ago when the fifth dimensional grid was opened. And these beings were allowed access energetically back into the earth and on the earth plane. And right now, currently, we are in this energetic war. However, there is a very small percentage of reptilians that are actually left on the planet, which I will go into in a second. So once these reptilians were on the planet 5,000 years ago, they had free will. So the Galactic Federation of Light could not force them to leave. If they did, they would be energetically interfering with free will. So it's really hard for people to understand this. Like, why wouldn't they just pull them out? But every consciousness, every energy follows universal laws. They just do. It's just what we do. You can try to break the rules, but it's like the planet. Most of us follow these the speed limit or whatever that is. You stop at a stop sign, right, etc. Not quite the same thing, but so once the grid was closed, these reptilians and fourth dimensional beings started to create programs and tactics that were infiltrating the human form and experimenting with lower states of consciousness, such as fear, greed, control, mind control, manipulation, things like that. And it started to, unfortunately, bring the frequency of the planet and Earth slowly down into lower frequencies, and it lowered the Earth's light quotient quite significantly. And I'll share about that in a second. But the reptilians, I want to share how they came in. When the grid was open, what these reptilians did is they shifted their frequency down very close to a third dimensional physical frequency. And so at times they could be seen and many times they couldn't. So they manipulated their own frequency in order to be seen or not seen. And most of the time they were not seen, but they knew how to manipulate their energy. They weren't coming and going from different planets. They were simply just moving in and out of different dimensional fields. And that's really important for people to understand is there aren't these like galactic highways where these reptilians are coming and going. They're inside the fifth dimensional grid on the earth. And so they knew how to manipulate their own energy to be seen or to not be seen. So that's how they came in. So let's describe what the reptilians are. And there's hundreds of different types of like reptilian races. I'm not going to go into that detail. I'm sure there's millions of videos out there on YouTube that you can watch. I'm just describing the history of how they got here and why they're here. The reptilian races were all about manipulating and feeding off of the human energy field and the high frequency light, our souls, within the form. So they liked feeding off of the energy in the body, the energy that came off of the body, and our own light. They understood how the quantum field works, and they knew how to energetically pull the light out of the human form. So they would literally deplete the human body of its energetic force. And what started to happen thousands of years ago, it's not happening now in the same way, but it was happening. The human, when their energy would be leaked like that, reptilians would come into the human body and take over. The human would they would get weak, they would get really sick. Many humans would actually die because of how much of their life force was being pulled out of the physical body. So it did a lot. The reptilians did a lot of destruction physically to the human body. The other fourth dimensional races that came in, they did a lot of experiments on the body. They did hybridizations on the body, and the reptilians ended up doing hybridization and creating humanoids. But they were all about infiltrating the human body, actually going into the human body and pulling the energy out. So I want you to imagine like, I want to get to I want you to imagine that when the reptilians were in the inside the fifth dimensional grid, they would find, they would focus on a physical body, and that physical body had all this energy coming off of it. And when they would move towards that physical body and start to move their own energy inside the physical form, it was almost like they were digesting energy, and it was like endorphins, right? They would almost like they would get high. So it was they fed off of it. And it wasn't like the reptilian energies, the whole 100% of their energy went into the human body. It was just percentages of their energy that would infiltrate the human body, but it would go into the human body. These energies would go in, and it made them feel more alive and more electric. Another thing that the reptilians did when they went into the human body, so that was the initial reason for the reptilians coming down. They really wanted to feed off of this really beautiful, like prana energy that the human body has. And the second reason they came in is for control. They loved being able to control human minds, fascinated them. To be able to manipulate, because if you can manipulate a human mind, you can manipulate a human. If you can manipulate a human, you can manipulate hundreds of humans. And if you can manipulate hundreds of humans, you can manipulate millions of humans. And if you can manipulate millions of humans, you can manipulate an entire planet. And so there was this fascination with control, with the mind control. It was almost like a game to them. And for thousands of years, they got really, really good at controlling human minds. And not just from being inside the human body, but learning how to manipulate, getting a tad bit of their energy inside the human mind, and then being able to manipulate through energy, so through different thoughts. And if they could control one human body that had some sort of like influence or power in the world, then they knew that they could influence the individuals that were following that human. For instance, in high authoritative positions, the reptilians loved going into those human bodies because those humans had a big influence on humanity. So again, if you can take over a body that has a lot of influence on the planet, you will be able to influence more humans without necessarily having to infiltrate that human body. So there's a very small percentage at this time of humans that have reptilian energy in them, very small percentage. But that small percentage is the small percentage of this human collective that's controlling all of humanity. But again, it's a very, very, very tiny, tiny, tiny small percentage. And so for thousands of years, this is what the reptilians were doing. They were having a heyday until around the 1920s. So again, the Galactic Federation of Light cannot interfere with what is happening on the planet unless the Earth is about to be physically destroyed. So between 1920 and 1940s is give or take linear years. The reptilians had gotten out of control in terms of their control and the ways in which they were going to control the human population. They started creating these atomic bombs and things that would have a very high probability of actually being used and destroying the physical planet. And so it was around this time that there was a clarion call, which is a very, very powerful call that went out for a large number of light workers to come onto the planet. And it was when the Galactic Federation of Light came in and cleared the Earth of 90% of the reptilian and galactic energies. And this is an extremely important piece that is overlooked and is forgotten. So reptilian energies are no longer entering this Earth plane. What is left is a very small percentage. 90% of any reptilian energy was cleared off by the Galactic Federation of Light in what would look like about 20 linear years for us. And again, it happened just like that. Now, there were other fourth dimensional races, hundreds of different types of fourth dimensional races that were working in the fourth dimensional realm on the planet. So they were not in physical bodies, and they were doing all of the abductions and the hybridization programs and the implants and all of that. Now, because they were not inside, this is really important to understand, because they were not inside the physical body, it was very easy for the Galactic Federation of Light to come in and literally zap them, literally energetically zap them out of that fourth dimensional realm, out of the fifth dimensional grid, and back into the fourth dimensional field that they were in outside of Earth, so they can't participate anymore. Okay, they zapped them. There's like, shook, shook. They just took them and went. So it's very easy to get those beings out because they weren't in the human body. Now, imagine there are energetic energies called reptilian energies inside a human body. It becomes a little bit more complicated and difficult to zap a reptilian energy that's inside a physical human body. Why? Because if you energetically zap them, it has the potential to literally physically zap the human, hurt the human. um, Give literally an electrical shot to the human body, which could zonk out the human body, like it would overheat. It would it's like being electrocuted, right? It would your organs can. It's very, very, very. We are very sensitive. Our frequency is so sensitive, and so the Galactic Federation of Light had a much more difficult time zapping the reptilian energies out of the human body, but they were able to do it, 90% of it. They were able to meticulously, slowly, delicately pull the energies out of the human body while still keeping the human body and the soul intact. However, for those human bodies that still had a large percentage of reptilian energy in them, they knew that if they zapped that reptilian energy out, the intensity of that zapping, the pulling of that could kill that human, or it could really cause a lot of damage. So they decided that it was better to leave the reptilian energy in there and let humanity naturally move through the evolutionary process. And by doing so, that reptilian energy would naturally be cleared, which is what's happening right now on the planet. And if you missed what I just said, rewind 5 minutes of this tape and listen to that piece again, because that is the most important part of this entire video, is that a small percentage of reptilian energy was left in human bodies because of how much of the reptilian energy was in the human body. The Galactic Federation of Light and Earth and humanity understood that as the evolution in human consciousness continued to take place and unravel on the planet, more light would move into the body, more light would move onto the planet, and naturally the human would evolve into higher frequencies, the earth would evolve into higher frequencies, and the reptilian energies would slowly be cleaned out of that human body. And in the meantime, there would be a spiritual war that would be happening on the planet between the reptilian energies that are trying to stay alive inside human bodies, a small percentage, and the entire rest of the human population slowly freeing themselves from what people like to call a prison planet. This planet isn't a prison planet. This planet is a beautiful, miraculous, free-willed agent of consciousness that chose all of this. The reason it feels like a prison planet is because the reptilian energies have literally been imprisoning the human mind for thousands of years. And it is only a small percentage, and it is the wealthiest of wealthiest. It's the people that you will never see. It's the names that you will never hear. They are so far behind the scenes, you don't even know them. You think it's the Bill Gates and the Klaus, whatever his name is, and it's not. They are part of it, but they're not they're not the head of it. But they are parts of it, right? The ones that have the most power and the most energy, I should say the most power, which is the most reptilian energy. They are the ones that have that energy in them. Their souls are not reptilian. They themselves, you think of, Bill Gates or whoever you want to say, they're not a reptilian. They're a soul. A reptilian energy has infiltrated their body. And because because we are holding much higher frequencies, this is also really important to hold, okay? Because we are holding much higher frequencies in our bodies right now, it is very, very unlikely that humans are being infiltrated by reptilian energies going forward. It's just not happening. What is happening is that there are soul contracts being made with these reptilian energies. And these soul contracts are consciously choosing to open themselves up to these reptilian energies in order to be controlled. So they're saying, yes, I will do what you say. I will let you take over my life so that I can have ... And in so doing, the reptilians control them through mind control, but the reptilian energy is not inside of them. So it can get really, it's almost like a business deal that starts to happen. But it is very, very important that we understand that the reptilians are not multiplying on this planet. They are slowly dissolving. We're clearing them out. And the more that we stand in our light, the more that we break free from mind control, which is thought forms, parasitic thought forms, the more that we make conscious choices through what resonates, the more we follow resonance, the more that we are in contact with humans and not robots. The scariest thing that these reptilians are doing right now is creating robotic humans, AI, transhumanism. That is the scariest place that humanity can choose to go to right now because it is inorganic. It is a massive, subtle mind control that humanity may believe is for its highest good. And it's a very subtle, profound, powerful way to control the human mind. Because it is this beautiful, hey, I'm going to help you. I'm going to be your friend. I'm this robot on a device, and I'm going to give you everything you need. And you're going to need me, and you're going to continue to need me. And you're not going to tap into your own resources within your own being. And it's going to pull you further away from resonance, which is your vibration, your frequency. The only thing we actually have that will free us is our soul inside our body, which has a resonance. It has a vibration. It has a tone, a frequency. and it knows how to navigate this energetic world. The reptilian energies know that. And the last thing they want for humans to remember is their soul and their light. Because if you can do that, then you will not fall for the manipulative mind control tricks that come with AI and all of this nonsense that's literally going to pull humanity into a slower evolutionary path, because it's pulling us out of resonance. Anything that pulls you out of being inside your body, listening to your own knowingness, having a human to human interaction is not for the highest good of humanity, no matter what it is, no matter how it's told to us. So it's just another level of these reptilian energies trying to find ways to keep controlling humanity. So just think of everything as mind control, right? And how free are you in your mind? That's really what you want to ask yourself. How free am I in my mind? And when you free yourself in your mind, you move into heart, you move into body, you're in body, right? And when you're in body, you're in soul. When you're in soul, you are the most powerful, profound, magical human. You're the lion, right? It's like, get out of my way. I will sit here and I will vibrate my own frequency over and over and over again, and you will not control me. The reptilian energies know this. That's why they use fear as their number one tactic, because if they can try to scare the lion, okay, then the lion will forget how powerful he or she is, the lion or the lioness. But the lion is the most powerful animal in the kingdom, in all of the land, right? But if there's an animal that can kind of try to infiltrate and make the lion think that it's weak, the lion will start to believe that it's weak. And the animal that is trying to make the lion think that it's weak knows that it's the most powerful animal in the whole animal kingdom. And we are the lion and the lionesses, our souls. And everything around us for thousands of years and hundreds of years and tens of years has been convincing us that we're not. And all of the things outside of us that we need in order to be able to be okay and survive and live on this planet. Anything that pulls you out of trusting yourself, your soul, anything that makes you believe that you need it over your own truth, you want to pay attention to. So what's happening right now on the planet is what's been going on for 5,000 years, the energetic war. It's really that simple, but also really complex and profound. Like, holy shit. Like, okay, so it's quite simple. It's just reptilian energy that's been infiltrated, that's infiltrated a small percentage of the human bodies, and they are controlling a large majority of humanity through the mind. So what the human is learning how to do right now is embody into their physical forms more and more, which is where their soul is, which is the most empowered place they can possibly be. So they're moving themselves out of mind control into body, which is where soul is, which is where light is, which is where heart is, which is where compassion and kindness and empowerment is. And what it's going to look like is the mind control is going to get louder. The thoughts are going to get louder. People in your lives that have been controlling and manipulating you are going to become more pronounced. You're going to have to walk away from people over and over and over again. There are millions upon millions of humans that are controlled by these energies, and they don't realize it. And so as you wake up, as you embody, you're going to look around and say, oh my God, holy shit. And people have these energies and these like dark entities attached to them because there's all these little like energetic tentacles that have been created in there that are playing around in this quantum field inside this 5D grid, that have been created based on this kind of reptilian energy that's been on the planet for thousands of years. And so it feeds off certain humans, and then you interact with these humans, you're like, fuck, get away from me. What the fuck is that? That's disgusting. I need a clearing. I need to cleanse my body, right? The more that you integrate into your soul, the more that you are whole, the more that you are in the body, the more you're going to see all this, the more you're going to feel all this, the more you're also going to feel free. You're going to feel joy. You're going to feel lightness. You're going to feel peace. It's the back and forth, up and down roller coaster ride, seesaw of this human evolution that 99.9% of humanity doesn't realize that they're on yet. Most of humanity is still walking around like just kind of doing life. It's a very small percentage that's actually in the awakened community, even though maybe there's more. Maybe there's more. Maybe 20-30% of humanity is really starting to awaken into that state. But it's small. And so you walk around and you're like, fuck, I got to keep doing this. I got to keep going in. I got to keep trusting. The more you trust yourself, the less you will fall for these energies. And it's really important to also understand that the way that we navigate the reptilian energies isn't to look around and be like, oh my God, that's a reptilian. Oh my God, that's a reptilian. Oh my God, no. Who the fuck gives a shit? Like, it doesn't matter if you think you know a reptilian or not. What matters is how deeply integrated you are in your body. What matters is if you are in the body. What matters is if you are following soul. What matters is if your heart is open. What matters is if you are being more kind and compassionate to yourself and other humans. What matters is if you are continuing to allow yourself to feel. Do you feel? What matters is, are you aware of your thoughts? You could look around and be like, that's a reptilian. No, the reptilians are still controlling you because they're controlling your mind. So what the fuck does it matter who's a reptilian or not? What matters is, are you aware of your thoughts? Are you? What thoughts still control you? And what is not important is being like, is this a reptilian thought? Is none of that's all minutia. That's all like details that don't matter. What matters is, are you aware of any tiny little thought that's controlling you? And can you be the lion and break free from those thoughts? And you can say to yourself, well, these thoughts came from this pattern and this trauma and this ancestral line. Okay, again, minutia matters in terms of like the human mind understanding why you do what you do, but it's much bigger than that. It's way beyond your trauma that happened in this lifetime and your ancestral lines and clearing all of that. It's bigger, meaning that it is energies, reptilian energies that have been infiltrating the planet and incarnation for a very long time, meaning that humans have been incarnating onto this planet that has been infiltrated and infested with reptilian energies that have controlled the human mind. So no matter what Akashic record you hold, no matter what trauma you're going to clear in whatever lifetime, you're still standing in a physical planet that has reptilian energies that's designed to control the human mind. So no matter how much healing you do and how much trauma work you do and all of this stuff, you still have to get down to the basics, which is, how free are you in your mind? That means, how embodied are you as soul? Which means, how free are you to feel everything you're feeling? The reptilian energies understand that if you're afraid to feel, you will not move into your body completely. And if you're not in your body completely, you can be absolutely controlled because you're in your mind. If you believe your mind over your matter, your body, your soul, you can be controlled. And so one of the biggest programs on this planet is to be afraid of certain emotions, to not feel. That's why we are so distracted in 2024. People barely watch information now. There's like a 2-second retention rate. How do I know? Because I do my business online, and it shows you how long somebody will watch a video or reel or whatever. A couple seconds, and then they're off to something else. It's got to be so entertaining to keep people's attention now. And that is called distraction. That is being out of your body. That is being in your mind going like this, which is mind control. And when you are in your body, you are slower. When you're in your body, you're critically thinking. When you're in your body, you're actually asking yourself, how does this feel? When you're in your body, you're actually consciously aware of what you're in. When you're in your body, you're consciously aware of who you're surrounding yourself with, what the conversations feel like, what your body feels like, what's moving through your body, what you're not allowing to move through your body. You become so conscious in presence that you cannot be controlled because you are so acutely aware of everything. So what happens in that process of awakening out of the prison that you have been in, we all have been in, is that everything gets louder. Everything gets louder. Thoughts get louder, emotions get louder, relationships get louder, the matrix gets louder, the distortions get louder, the shadow it all gets louder because you're all of a sudden dropping into the body and moving back into your natural state of being, which is feeling, which is the most empowered state. The lion knows who it is because it's inside its body saying, holy shit, I'm a lion. I'm a mother freaking lion or lioness. No giraffe or zebra or buffalo has anything on me. Now, it's not to say that those animals aren't badass in and of themselves, because they are. But come on, the lion is like, all you have to do is go on a safari and you can feel the different energies. A lion's energy is like nothing I have ever felt in my entire life. A lion's energy is, to me, what a soul feels like walking on this planet, battling the energies. It's quiet, it's humble, it's powerful, it's potent. It doesn't do anything that it's not intending. It has a focus like you've never seen. It could care less what's going on around it because it knows who it is. So it doesn't have all these distractions. It's not looking around at you or other things. It has a regalness. It has focus and determination. And other animals, even elephants, because elephants are pretty badass. They're very much like do 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 do. Elephants. They're usually in big herds. They're very playful. Not lions are playful as well, but the elephants are much. They're much more like interacting in life more. Um, they've got more of this like herd mentality. So there's like rules they follow and that. And I mean, lions have a herd too, but it's just a different energy. It's just very, very different. Um, Elephants get really distracted. They've been hunted way more than lions. So they're much more aggressive than a lion. But anyway, back to reptilians. The point is, my friends, is that this lion energy is your soul. And this is what you are entering back down into. And the reptilian energy on the planet, which are a very, very small percentage, they just use people. It's like they use all these other humans as their toys in order to manipulate human consciousness. So again, what you want to focus on and what you want to think about going forward is, how free am I in my mind, which is going to drop you into body. How often are you feeling? Are you safe to feel everything? Are you judging everything you're feeling? You may look at this and say, well, this has nothing to do with reptilian energy. It has everything to do with reptilian energy, because the more you are afraid of anything, the more you'll be controlled. Period. The whole entire planet has been navigating fear for lifetimes. And fear is a tool to show you how empowered you are. Okay. I think I nailed it. hit the like button if you like this video. And even if you didn't like it, hit it anyways because it helps me. Hit the like button. Helps me. Sadness is the energy that's thanks for hitting the like button, you guys. Okay, sadness is underneath sadness is a calm. So part of not giving a fuck is also you dropping deeper into the river and allowing the river to take you. But it's using a different lens than I just don't give a fuck anymore because that's more like a teenager having a temper tantrum, you know, which is part of the awakening process for many of us is not giving a fuck anymore. But what we start to realize is that we're here to master this, right? We're here to master this evolution, this journey. And there's all these different levels and layers that we go through. Not giving a fuck is one of them. Deep, deep sadness because of what you're in and what you're experiencing, and the realization that there is no getting out of it. We're inside this matrix. And so we have to go through this. But it's holding different intentions. It's loosening the grip. um, it's being more gentle. It's recognizing what lens we use too. You want to really pay attention to the lens. The like button, Marla, the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. What happens to the reptilians when they pass on? Are they part of the quantum field? The reptilian energies, what's happening right now on the planet is they're literally clearing. So they're it's like they are dissolving into the light. So they're it's almost like they're being eaten by the light. That's the best way to describe it. So um it's kind of so the energies are inside human bodies, most of them. That's why the Galactic Federation of Light couldn't zap them out. So most of the reptilian energies, it's not floating around inside the 5D field. They're actually inside the human bodies now. And so as the light increases on the planet and as more light moves onto the planet from the sun, it infiltrates into every human body. It doesn't matter if it's, you know, any government official, Bill Gates, whoever, it doesn't matter. Their body is being infiltrated with light. There's a huge amount of light going down into the entire planet. And so slowly but surely, what starts to happen is that light diffuses or burns out that reptilian energy. So the reptilian energy becomes less and less potent, just dissolves it. So they're not being zapped out and going back into the quantum field. They're literally dissolving into light, transforming. Energy doesn't go away or like energy just transmutes, right? So these kind of reptilian energies are just transmuting into light, and it's like a dissolving of the potency of it. It's almost like a black hole, but it's a light hole, and it's just dissolving the energy, shifting it, you could say. What's your question? What can I do for pressure in my head? So you need to ground the energy, Marcos. I want you to imagine that um, there's a huge amount of water that's being poured onto your head right now, right? So there's a huge amount of light being poured into your body right now, and it can get stuck. It can just feel it gets stuck around the throat chakra for a lot of us, and it gets stuck around the heart. These two energy centers are very, very powerful because if these can stay open, then the energy has a higher potential to move all the way through the body. Um, so what happens to a lot of us, especially if you are in the masculine energy and you've been raised as a male on the planet, um, it's really shut off in the heart center, right? And so when all this energy comes in, it's pressurized because it has nowhere to go, right? So it's like it feels like you're going to explode in the head. It can get dizzying, nauseating. It's very uncomfortable. It feels freaky. I want you to just imagine that this is just being cut off, right? And so it's just like, so what you want to do is figure out how to get that energy through the body, right? So it's like, okay, breathing. First of all, just the awareness, my friend, of what's happening can assist you into relaxing into body. You want to just slow your breathing down. You want to visualize energy just moving through the body. You want to feel your feet on the ground. You want to feel like your feet are open and this energy is moving through it. There's this toroidal field that's always moving through your body with energy. But if there's a high amount of energy coming in, it can be like, it can get stuck. So go onto the earth, go into nature. Nature is massive for grounding us right now. Breathe, slow your breathing down, right? If your bare feet, my friend, are on the ground, outside, in anything, a park, grass, dirt, you will immediately slow your vibration, like slow the intensity down. So what you're learning how to do is ground the energy like you do an electrical socket, right? If you just plug in a cord into the electrical socket and that socket isn't grounded into the earth, literally physically grounded into the earth, you'll get shocked. It won't work. The electricity will light up. It has to be grounded down in order for it to work, the light to work. So you have to learn how to ground yourself down into the physical body and into the physical planet so that your light can start to flow. Does that make sense? So you don't have to go and do all this like chakra work or all this like energy center work. No, just get your fucking feet on the ground and literally imagine like you're doing an electrical cord. You just got to ground the energy down. It doesn't have to be this complicated process of like, now you got to go to all these different people and do this, all this. No, just literally ground onto the planet. And that will help the movement. It just naturally starts, going, moving. Does that make sense? Any other questions? Any questions about your chakras are probably closed, my friend, but they open naturally. Okay, your chakras naturally open when you get present. Your chakras will naturally open when you get present and you breathe. Your chakras will naturally open when you ground into the earth. Your chakras will not naturally open when you start feeling more. Right? So what am I feeling throughout the day? What am I feeling? What am I feeling? Where's my breath? Can I breathe? Um, there's constant energy trying to move through the body. Obviously, energy centers are blocked in us if the energy isn't flowing. But all that means is that you need to remember how to get the energy to flow again, which simply means that you need to drop yourself into the body more, get present, slow down. Where am I? Where's my feet? Where are my toes? What's the bottom of my feet feel like? Right? Your nervous system is overactive because there's a lot of energy moving through it. And also, my friend, your nervous system is overreactive, or it feels overactive because you're coming back down into the body. When you start to come back down into the body, we have this idea that our nervous system is overregulated. We have to regulate our nervous system. No, it's called welcome to being inside a body. And we think that the nervous system is stimulated. It's overstimulated. It's only overstimulated because you haven't been used to being inside this physical vessel. We've been up here. thinking we've been inside the physical vessel. When you start to move into the physical vessel, it's all energy. It's only energy. It only receives the physical world through energy. It only knows the physical world through energy. So every interaction is energetic. Every sound is energetic. Every taste is energetic. Every thought is energetic. Every emotion is energetic. Everything is energy. And so you start to become aware of being inside the body. It's going to feel like your nervous system is whacked out. It's not. You, as an awareness, are learning how to be inside of an energetic form. You're learning how to regulate, which you're not actually doing, but you're learning how to regulate your nervous system by learning how to be in an energetic world. Reptilians don't have souls. No, they're energy. A soul is like the reptilians and fourth dimensional races are their physical form is the energy. Their reality is the energy, right? Their experience is they are the energy uh, that they're experiencing. What's so unique about the human is that there's an actual consciousness inside the human body. So it makes it a very unique experience, which is why so many eyes are on us, because this is a very unique experience. And this is a concept that's very difficult for people to understand. So galactic beings and reptilians and any, like, angels, things like that, they are experiencing themselves as that consciousness. So there isn't a separation between um, who they are and the physical form they're in. It's all one, right? So they took their consciousness from God source, from spirit, and they moved themselves into the experience and expression of a reptilian, or into the experience or expression of a Palladian or a angel, right? What's so unique about the human experience is that there is a physical vessel that is very separate from the consciousness that you are. And that consciousness that you are, there is a percentage of that consciousness that is held inside the human body that we call a soul. So the consciousness is going for a ride inside the physical form. It makes for a beautiful experience, a profound, mystical, magical experience, but it's very different than um, other experiences that consciousness has. Um, Okay, don't hit the 334 likes, thumbs ups. Hit the thumbs up, but don't hit it twice, I guess. Okay. What was my talk about animals? Oh, in the safari? You mean my talk about the animals in the safari, Robert? Crying is good. There's a reason why the human body cries, or we experience it as crying. It's a releasing. It's the greatest thing we can do. It releases, 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 releases. Um, Do you feel ascension symptoms? I don't know what ascension symptoms are, to be honest with you. um, I I just know what it feels like to move through this evolutionary path, this process. I guess people will call it ascension symptoms, but I don't like that term because it makes it seem like there's like something happening to us that's, I don't know. It's we're just becoming more energetic, and so it's going to be felt in so many different ways, thousands and thousands of different ways. So I don't tend to follow the teachings of like ascension symptoms. I just talk about what it feels like to be inside a body, and what it feels like to become more energetic, and what it feels like to feel more, what it feels like to become more aware of thought, what it feels like to navigate relationships through more of an energetic lens. Um, have you been on a safari, Robert? It's so interesting. The If you've been on a safari in Africa, or um, in a country in Africa, man, it will really remind you of who we are. I'm really currently feeling annoying. Did the removal of reptilians in the 1920s to 40s have anything to do with the world wars? Um, God, that's a really good question, Annie. I'm sure it did because that was during, I'm not good at history, but that was when World War One started in when did World War One, 1914, 18, 19, when did World War One start? But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, there was a lot of energetic um, destruction happening. So it would make sense that there would be physical wars happening with human bodies. 1914. Yeah. So when the Galactic Federation of Light gives me dates, it's very relative. So it's like if they're like between 1920s and 1940s, it's in that time frame that this stuff started to happen because they don't live in time. So they're trying to give a specific time when it didn't happen in that like a linear exact date, which is why when people try to predict certain things happening, like, oh, on September 9th, 2026, this is going to happen. It's very rare. You can't actually predict in a quantum field. It's impossible. If Africa's calling you, you got to go. You got to go. You got to go. 1939 to 1945 was World War II. Yeah, it's very interesting. I actually never thought about the fact that the two world wars that the planet's been in was when the Galactic Federation of Light was pulling out the 4D races and the reptilians. Makes perfect sense. Anything else before I go? I've enjoyed this immensely. Thanks to you guys for joining me. We are going to do episode 5 next Thursday at 2 p.m. and it's going to be on the Akashic Records. Really powerful teaching about the Akashic Records. It's empowering to remember how the Akashic Record works, why we have it. And just like every teaching that comes from this book, The Divine Design, it's all very simplified. So it's not a complicated, these aren't complicated teachings. It's very, very simplified, very, very basic. It's digestible, you know? So I am not complex in my teachings whatsoever. If anything, it feels very, very kindergarten teaching so that you can understand it from a real basic, perspective. So next Thursday, 2 p.m. California time, we are going to be talking about the Akashic Record, how we're actually evolving out of the Akashic Record, and the power of that we're evolving out of the records that we created when we came onto the planet. If you have not gotten the book, The Divine Design, go get it, audio or paperback or hardcover. It will activate your entire physical body. And when you hold it, when you start reading it, I don't know what it does, but it activates you. It's really, really powerful. So thanks for being here, you guys. What else? Is there anything else? If you're not part of my Patreon community and you want to join, the link is down below. We do 5 live events a month. It's really a beautiful place to connect. And if you want to join me in person, I am doing a 3-day workshop in Boone, North Carolina. It's going to be very, very activating, very fun. Yeah. And the link, I believe, we'll put the description we'll put the link down below in the description. But April 19th to the 21st, the Galactic Federation of Light. Who asked that? Butterfly. I love your name. The Galactic Federation of Light is a group of non-physical consciousnesses or energies, hundreds of them, that are responsible for creating the experience that Earth is in right now. So they're like Earth's guardians. They created with the Earth her physical form. They created all of what we see right now in the stars, the planets. They created the physical body. Um, they created all of it. As crazy and um, Star Warsy as that sounds, uh, it's basically like the guardian angels of the planet. And they guard and watch over the experiment that Earth has created, which is the evolution in consciousness, which is moving from a third dimensional field to a sixth, to a fifth, to a sixth, to a seventh. I should go to Vancouver. All right. Anything else before I go? How about a 3-day workshop in Canada? Colette, I don't know. I want to go back to Amsterdam, and I'm going to do uh, some more live events in the United States at the end of the year, but just like evening events. Thanks, Barry, for being here. Okay. Love you guys. I'll see you next Thursday. And if you want to be live for a channeling that I'm doing a live channeling in my Patreon community on Saturday. They're so fun. I channel live, close my eyes, bring in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful consciousness, and they share messages with us. So we'll see who comes in on Saturday. I'll leave that link to the live event, and you can join our community. There's a 7-day free trial if you want to join for 7 days for free. Otherwise, just join and be a part of our community with us. See who comes through. Love you. Thanks, Robert, for being here. See you next time. Mwah.